Let's go, let's go, let's go. I see people saying let's go. How many of y'all, looks like you're ready? Are we good, Larry? So we're having a little technical difficulty in studio this morning, but hopefully you guys can hear me okay. And how have you guys on YouTube been enjoying Bishop Wayne Malcolm, the conversation I've been having with Bishop Wayne Malcolm? I think we released 2 or 3 of them so far, and if we release 2, there's 3 to go of the conversations, and we got like 10 more just him teaching 10-minute videos. So, and I know some of y'all came at me kind of strong about him only being 10 minutes, but well, I guess you got to tune in tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, right? From those of you who are old enough to know what that means. Okay, so that was all the way from the 60s. I pulled that out of the archives, y'all, okay? We were getting home from school fast as we could to watch Batman and see if him and Robin were going to live again, right? So, yeah, we've been doing a study on, we've got some, first of all, Bishop Wayne Malcolm. We got another one of the conversations with him that released yesterday, and we got another one that's going to release on Friday, and then I think we have 2 more after that. And then we've got like 10 videos of just Bishop teaching here in our studio, and it was so good on so many levels. So we're going to release that eventually. And we just got done doing another video this morning called The Divergence of Wealth Creation. That's coming down the pipe. Was it good? Yeah. It was really like, whew, it blew my hair back a little bit. Okay. So, the hair on my beard. Okay. So, we've been teaching on the blessing of the Lord that maketh rich. And we've been talking about what that blessing is. Proverbs 10:22 says, the blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. We talked about the blessing of the Lord, Lord blessing us with the power of riches, the purpose of riches, the power of riches, the principles of riches so far. We talked about the protection of riches. And then we talked about, last week, I can't even get to it, the practice of riches. And in the practice, we got to studying, the practice of studying. We have to become students of life. We have to become students of the word. If you want to be successful in business, you have to become a student of business. Like we should be perpetual students, because the more we learn, the more it helps us realize we don't know, right? So as I'm learning more, and I feel like I'm learning some stuff, I am becoming infinitely more aware of how little I know. Like, I'm just like, wow, am I ever going to get this thing figured out? Nope, but it sure is fun on the journey. And so we talked about the practice of studying, and we talked about the practice of, is that all we got to last week? I think that might be all, no. We didn't talk about the practice of serving last week, so let's talk about that. The blessing of the Lord that maketh rich, he hath no sorrow with it. One of the blessings that the Lord has blessed us with is the blessing to serve. And a lot of people don't realize that serving is a blessing, but serving is one of the greatest blessings. And the greater the service, the greater the blessing. We feel fulfilled when like I said in a video I recorded earlier this morning, we feel fulfilled when we are creating, but we also feel fulfilled when we are connecting with other people, especially when we're connecting with other people for the purpose of service. It's interesting to me, like in a lot of Western societies, it's interesting to me how miserable so many people are who have so much. But I don't believe they're miserable because they have much. I believe they're miserable because they have much and serve little. And they seek to serve little. I believe that all of us, the purpose of our lives is to live in our creative space and make the world a better place. A better place for whom? A better place for the people we come across, right? If I'm married, and I am, and I've been married for 37 and a half years, if I'm married, right, then the purpose for me being married, my purpose for being married is to serve my wife. My wife's purpose is to serve me. Our purpose as parents is to serve our children. Our children's purpose is to serve each other and to serve their parents. And what's really interesting is, even though I may know it's your responsibility to serve me, it's not my responsibility to teach you that it's your responsibility to serve me, right? It's my responsibility to teach me, it's my responsibility to serve you, right? And Jesus said in Matthew chapter 23, verse 11 and 12, it says, but he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. I did a YouTube video several weeks ago on how to be great even if you're not good, right? And a lot of people underestimate the value of serving. I believe that one of the reasons Solomon became the wisest, wealthiest man in the world is because in his early days, he had a heart that was all about serving. God came to him, and if you read it, you'll see what it says. God, it's in 1 Kings chapter 3. God came to Solomon in a dream, and he said, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, you've shown to my father David kindness and mercy. You've given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day. And you made me to be a king, but I don't know how to be a king, and so I'm like a little child, so give me the wisdom. So basically the prayer of Solomon was, Lord, give me the wisdom to do the thing you put me on this earth to do. How can a person possibly feel fulfilled if they don't do the thing they were created for? It's not possible. Like, be fruitful and multiply. God put an aspect of his creativity inside of all of us as a seed. We will only feel fulfilled when we produce on the outside based on that seed that God put inside of us. Are y'all tracking? Yeah. And so that he put that seed inside of me to create something that serves people. He didn't put something inside of me to create something that serves Myron, right? I should not be seeking to serve myself. I should be seeking to serve every human being I come across. And so Solomon said that you made me the king over your people. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to discern judgment. So what's really interesting about the kingdom of God is that Christ is the King of kings. The kings he's king of are the people who operate in his heavenly kingdom. Kingdom is a compound word which means king's dominion, right? And so God gave you something to rule over, an assignment to rule over, and he gave me an assignment to rule over. So I believe that the kingdom of God is me yielding my life to God as the sovereign king of my life, and then ruling over my assignment with sovereign authority, and then using that assignment that I rule over to serve the people I come in contact with. That's the whole purpose for my life. And I will feel fulfilled when and only when I do that. I have to show up to serve. Like when I come in contact with you, my desire should be to make your life better. My desire should not be to get you to make my life better. Unless, of course, I'm paying you for it. In which case, then I expect you to make my life better, right? But even when I go, like last night, a friend of mine took my wife and I to Eddie V's, and he gave me this shirt, so I figured I'd wear it today because it's the coolest shirt I think I've ever had. And so I figured I'm going to wear that shirt today because it's really cool. And so they took us to Eddie V's, and then we had two of our favorite servers, Lucy and Ashley. And like when I go out to restaurants, I am there to bless the servers with compensation as they bless me with the service of bringing my food with a smile and good customer service. Like, I want to bless them more than everybody else blesses them. I want to bless them with the kindness with which and the tone in which I speak to them with my words. I want to bless them with a tip that I give them to let them know that the work they did is appreciated, right? Last week, our office flooded. It was raining in the building back there. It was crazy. Somebody, you were here? Were y'all here? You were here, weren't you, Max? Were you here not when it happened? So I think it happened last Thursday. Denise, you were here, weren't you? No, you weren't here either. Anyway, we were here. So Larry was here. I was here, and there was a lady from Michigan who was here, and thank you, bro. I appreciate that. And there was a lady from Michigan here who's in one of our coaching programs, and like when I say, I literally thought half of the roof was torn off. That's how hard it was raining in the building, right? It was coming down like a waterfall in Mark's office, back there in that storage room, in the men's bathroom, and which is why it's all taped off, right? And so, and then our team, they just went crazy, like cleaning up water. It was crazy. I'm like, this ain't their job. They started, like Rob went and got squeegees, and Larry and Marima and Karina, they're like squeegeeing water, and we're moving stuff out of the way and making sure, like the water that came in from back there got all the way over here, right? And so it was crazy. Anyway, they just, I was like, wow, I'm surrounded by such amazing people. I'm blessed to have these people on my team, and I blessed them with a little bonus that I hope felt like it wasn't compensation, it was just appreciation, right? Like, I think that one of the problems that we have when we go through life is we don't appreciate what we have until it's gone. Why don't we practice appreciating things while we have them? So I was saying, in Western societies, a lot of times, like, people are so miserable with so much because they serve so little. But you go to, like, developing countries, and people who serve, they've got smiles on their faces. They have you go to the Dominican Republic, I'm not even exaggerating. In the DR, I've seen 4 people on a little bitty motorcycle. 4 people on one motorcycle. Right? I'm like, what in the world am I witnessing here? Right? But, like, I'm talking about, you got people who are walking around this ginormous resort. They're probably walking 27 miles a day, serving people, just as happy as they can be. Why? Because serving people makes you happy. It brings you joy. It brings you fulfillment. Why? Because that's why God put us here. Seek to serve before you seek to be served. Anyway, the practice of serving. Why? Well, because another reason you want to serve, well, let me say this. It'll make you more like Christ. What does it say in Philippians chapter 2, verse 5? It says, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant. It was made in the likeness of men. Who is Christ? He's the ultimate servant king. And so, even though you're a king if you're a man and you are a follower of Christ, and you're a queen if you're a woman, you're a follower of Christ, guess what? You're not just supposed to be a king or a queen. You're supposed to be a servant king and a servant queen. A king who serves and a queen who serves. Every social ill in the world would be solved in a day if every human being sought to serve before they sought to be served. Period. Okay, so we want to seek to serve. Why? Like, from a practical economic perspective, what does that mean? So you can make more money, okay? Just in case you were wondering what I meant when I said practical economic perspective. All the money that you desire and you don't have right now, it's in somebody else's pocket or in their bank account. Here's what I found out. If you will provide them something more valuable than the money, they will happily hand it over. Did you hear what I just said? If you will provide them with something that's more valuable to them than the money, hey, Tina, we miss you since the flood, right? She was here in the flood, right? She was here when the great flood happened and we didn't have an ark, right? So, right. So, what we got to do is we got to seek to serve. Like, if you will show up and shine, like everywhere you show up, shine. Every person you come across, have it your objective to make sure they feel more blessed as a result of being in your presence than they feel stressed as a result of being in your presence. Because how many of y'all know some people make you feel blessed and other folks make you feel stressed? Can I get a witness? Right? So we have the practice of service. If you are miserable, serve more. I'm depressed, serve more. Like, go make somebody else's depression go away. Go put a smile on somebody else's face. Go fix somebody else's problem. I promise you, you'll feel more better, way more better, right? Okay, so the practice of serving will change our lives for the rest of our lives, because when I serve other people, then oftentimes they pay me with money. What's money? A certificate of service rendered. What does money do? It proves to the people who I want to serve me food that I served somebody else and they paid me. Oh yeah, it's like a club. A club of servants, all the servants, it's the servants club. The more you serve and the higher level that you serve at, then the more money you get paid. Okay, so the practice of serving. But not just the practice of serving, the practice of sacrificing. What does the word sacrifice mean, by the way? It means you got to give up something that you love. Well, not necessarily. The word sacrifice means to let go of something of a lower nature so you can take a hold of something of a higher nature. Wow, think about that. Sacrificing is letting go of something of a lower nature so you can take a hold of something of a higher nature. Well, why would I want to take a hold of something of a higher nature? It's just more valuable. It's better for all involved, right? And so sacrificing is something that we all have to do. We have to let go of the seed in order to reap the harvest, right? The farmer who eats his seed when it's time to plant will starve when it's time to harvest. And so what we got to learn how to do is we got to learn how to sacrifice. One of the things that it says about King Solomon in 1 Kings chapter 3, it says he offered 1,000 burnt offerings on the altar. What is a burnt offering a picture of? Total sacrifice. Everything that I have, here's what he's saying, everything that I have, everything that I am, it's all yours, God. What's really interesting when Solomon asked God for wisdom, it's really interesting what God said to him. He said, because you have asked this thing and has not asked for yourself great riches, and you've not asked for yourself a long life, and you've not asked for the life of your enemies, I'm going to give you what you asked for, but I'm also going to give you what you didn't ask for. Why? Because when Solomon prayed, he prayed for something that would bless God and bless God's people. He wasn't praying for a blessing for himself. Do you have a heart that seeks to serve, that seeks to sacrifice? See, Solomon was saying to God 1,000 times over, you can have everything that I am and you can have everything that I have. Everything that I am and everything that I have, you can have it. When God knows you trust him with everything, he can trust you with a lot more. Can I get a witness? Where are my people? And so the practice of sacrificing. The practice of sacrificing indulgence on the altar of achievement. But most people sacrifice achievement on the altar of indulgence. What does that mean? Most people will sacrifice long-term gain on the altar of short-term pleasure. Can I get a witness? I mean, think about it. Like, it's what most people do. It's what, like, I woke up this morning and I realized something. Like, it's amazing when you're young, you can jump off of stuff, you can work out, you can get down, do 100 push-ups, the next day feel fine. You start getting older, you go to bed, you wake up, stuff hurt because you went to sleep. It's crazy. like I'm in the bed. How did I hurt myself sleeping? Wake up, oh, that's hurt, oh, that's hurt. And I woke up this morning and I said to myself, and some of y'all are laughing because you know exactly what I'm talking about. Come on, I got some real-time, real-life witnesses up in here, right? And what's really fascinating about that, I woke up this morning, I said to myself, because I played golf yesterday, and I felt fine afterwards. And I said, Myron, like I love being strong. I love to be strong. I just don't like to exercise. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else resembles that remark. You say, how do you know you love being strong? I used to be strong back in the day. But I love being strong, but I don't like to exercise, right? And I love being healthy, but there's still a couple of pieces of junk food that I don't mind putting my hands on every now and then, right? I'm keeping it real. And I realized this morning, I said to myself this morning, son, because that's how I talk to myself. Right? In my dad's voice, right? I said, son, you got two choices. You're either going to have to start working out every day or resolve yourself to being in more pain as you get older, period. And so I got to sacrifice my busy schedule on the altar of my workout schedule. I have to do that. Like I don't mean I have to do that. Like you can't pretend you're as strong as you were 10 years ago and you don't work out like you did 10 years ago. And keep playing golf every day like you're just going to get stronger because you're playing golf. No, bro, you better get on that ground and push yourself up. You better go move something, do something, like get on the floor, move around. What? Movement is medicine. Motion is lotion, right? Anyway, you better get moving, right? And so, like I decided this morning, like I'd work out sometimes. That's the problem. Sometimes. Like I'm confessing my sins in front of fitness people. And they're all looking at me like, how dare you? Bro, like shame on you. I know, bro. Like, can you tell Andre to stop looking at me like that? Okay, so. Oh, her too. Wow, he's on all of us. Okay, but seriously though, this body is a temple. We got to take care of it, right? There's stuff I ain't gonna do to this temple, but there's stuff I need to do to this temple. There's some stuff falling down, and we need to get some hammers and some nails rocking. You know what I'm saying? We need to start building some stuff back up, and it's a sacrifice though. Working out is a sacrifice. It is. What am I doing? I'm letting go of something of a lower nature so I can take a hold of something. Strength is a higher nature thing to take a hold of. Then I don't like to work out. What does that even mean? Who cares? Most of the stuff that you have, that is good, you got on the other side of doing something you didn't want to do. Am I talking too fast? I'm preaching to me, I'm just letting y'all listen. You know what I'm saying? Right? So we got to sacrifice. Here's what it says. Like, we have to sacrifice short-term gain on the altar of short-term pleasure on the altar of long-term gain. Because if we don't, here's the only other choice. We're going to sacrifice long-term gain on the altar of short-term pleasure. That's always a losing proposition. Here's what it says in the book of Proverbs. This is King Solomon talking. Proverbs 21:17. He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man, and he that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. Like, quit playing. It's time for us to stop saying, like, people, do you understand? Like, I'll talk about me since y'all, so y'all know I ain't preaching at you, right? I'll talk about me. I know I need to go after getting back in shape like I went after creating wealth when I was broke. I need to hate being unfit as much as I hate poverty. Because they're really the same thing in different arenas, right? Right? Like poverty is a lack of abundance in ability to purchase, but like being unfit, being out of shape is a lack of strength and a lack of mobility and a lack of flexibility. Like, let's sacrifice it. Like, maybe that, do you ever notice in 3 John verse 2 it says, brethren, I wish above all things that thou wouldest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth? Do you ever think about that? Watch this. What is that telling us? It's telling us, well, how does your soul prosper? Well, if you are redeemed by the blood of the Lamb and you've trusted Christ as your Savior, guess what? You are infinitely, eternally prosperous. And I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in health as your soul prospers. Okay. Infinitely and abundantly? Okay, that sounds pretty good. What does that tell us? It tells us we can only be as healthy as our wealth allows. Did you ever notice that junk food costs less than good food? So you have to sacrifice, like McDonald's is not food. I mean, I'm not putting them under the bus, but it ain't food. It's just stuff to eat, right? Candy ain't food. It's just stuff to eat, stuff we can put in our mouth, and it feels good short term, but long term. Anyway, y'all get what I'm talking about. And so you can only be as healthy as your wealth allows. It costs more to be healthy than it does to be sick, until you get sick, and then it costs more to be sick. See, people will lament the fitness membership or the exercise equipment. They'll lament that. They'll lament the health food until they get sick. And then they'll pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for open heart surgery when all they had to do was eat more food from the hand of God and less from the hand of man. Anyway, and then move their body, right? Okay, y'all track it. But not only can you only be as healthy as your wealth allows, but you can only be as wealthy as your health allows. Because if you don't have enough energy in your body to create something valuable for somebody else, you are not going to create wealth. You can't. You don't have enough strength. Right? And then you can only minister or serve people as effectively as your health and your wealth allow. So you have to show up and shine in all arenas. By the way, it's interesting. Now, some of y'all didn't. I'm gonna throw this in for free. I ain't gonna charge extra for it. God told the children of Israel in the Old Testament, he said, if you will keep my commandments, I want you to notice the words. I'm pretty sure it's Exodus 15:20. I'm not sure. I know it's in Exodus 15. It might be Exodus 20:15 or Exodus 15:20, one of those two, I think. It says, if you will keep my commandments, I will not put any of the diseases which I put on the Egyptians on you. God put diseases on people? It's in the Bible. Do you understand why God told man not to eat unclean beast? Because God put the diseases in the beast. God put the hog, which is basically the fly of the animal kingdom, on the earth to clean up the filth on the earth. That's why hogs eat poop. They eat dying things and rotting things, just like vultures, just like shrimp, crabs, lobster, all that. God put all that stuff here to clean the refuse out of the earth. People say, but it tastes good. But you don't eat it because it tastes good. This is something I know for a fact. This is a scientific fact. You don't eat anything because it tastes good. It tastes good because you eat it. What does that mean? All appetites are cultivated. Right? You cultivated that appetite. You eat anything long enough, it'll taste good. I hated broccoli growing up. I love it now. It's one of my favorite things to eat now. Why? I made myself eat it. Now I love it. I love broccoli. Like, broccoli is one of my favorite vegetables. Anyway, but I hated it growing up, which means what? I cultivated the appetite. I'm not trying to make people not eat pork or shrimp or any of that stuff. You can eat whatever you want to eat. But I'm just telling you, most Americans dig their grave with a knife and fork. But that's a different conversation for another day. One of these days, I may have already done this. I don't know if I did or not. If I go through my videos and I haven't created a video on Satan's secret weapon yet, I'm going to do a video on Satan's secret weapon. But I may have already done it. Anyway. So sacrifice. We have to sacrifice. We have to sacrifice like short term on the altar of the long term. Okay. I read in a book somewhere, and I don't remember where I got it, or I'd tell you who I got it from, because I don't want y'all to think I'm the source of all human knowledge. I ain't even close, right? But I got this from somebody. It said, the satisfaction of accomplishment is far more satisfying than the satisfaction of indulgence. So, the satisfaction of accomplishment is far more satisfying than the satisfaction of indulgence. And some of us, and here's what happens. Indulgence and achievement are both appetites. And we can acquire a taste for either one. So, here's what it says in Ecclesiastes 11:6. In the morning sow thy seed, in the evening withhold not thy hand, for thou knowest not whether shall prosper either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good. What does that mean? That means sow good seeds everywhere you go, because you don't know when or where your harvest is coming from. How many of y'all tracking? So we want to practice. We talked last week about the practice of studying. We're talking about the practice of serving. Today we talk about the practice of sacrificing. Here's the last one. It's not the last one. It's the next to the last one. Or the next to the next to the next to the last one. It's one of the ones. Okay. We want to practice the practice of storing. All of us are consumers. What happens when you consume something? It's gone, right? All of us are consumers. But all of us are producers to some degree, because if you don't produce something, you don't have anything to consume, right? Here's what we need to do is we need to practice the 80-20 rule in our consumption and our consumption and our production. What does that mean? That means I should produce 80% and consume only 20%. My life experience should be made of 80% production and only 20% consuming. Produce more than you consume. And part of producing more than you consume is learning not to spend every dime out of every dollar. It requires discipline. Here's what it says in Proverbs 21:20. There's treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up. Don't spend every dime out of every dollar. Like, I spend a lot of money. I run a business, and we have a payroll of over $100,000 a month. So, I spend a lot of money, right? But I make money so much faster than I spend it. I would recommend to you, make money faster than you spend it. And if that means you have to cut back on some things until you figure out how to make more, do that. Prepare for hard times in good times. Don't act like you didn't know hard times came. People are like, oh, my refrigerator broke down, it's an emergency. Well, that's what refrigerators do. Refrigerators and air conditioners and cars, all that stuff, it just breaks down. So let's don't act like it don't. Let's put some back so when it does. In my book, From the Trash Man to the Cash Man, I have the can system, right? I can if my can say I can. So I have my I can tithe can, right? And then I can save for what I want can. And then I have my I can have fun can. And then I have my I can pay my bills on time can. And then I have my I can educate myself can. And I can finish free can. So I've got all these cans, right? And 50% of my money goes in my I can pay my bills can. And then 10% goes in each of those other cans, right? And so what I learned to do is I learned to manage my money instead of having my money run me. Because when my money ran me, I used to always have more month at the end of the money than I did money at the end of the month. Right? And now like the money accumulates for my children's children. Right? That's the whole focus. Like some Christians, but Myron, the scripture says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon the earth. I know, I ain't laying up no treasures for me on this earth. I'm laying it up for my children and my grandchildren and their grandchildren. That's what I'm laying it up for. Because a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. See, the Bible's not going to contradict itself. Lay not up for yourselves. It didn't say don't lay up treasures upon the earth. It says don't lay it up for yourself. It didn't say don't lay it up. Okay, y'all tracking. So the practice of storing up treasures, and then the practice of sustaining. Like you want to create wealth and you want to sustain wealth. It's really fascinating to see how many people made millions of dollars and then they lost it. Present. I did. I made millions of dollars. I was the first millionaire in my family. I was the first person in my family to, after making millions of dollars, being broke again. So guess what I learned? Don't do that no more, right? Don't do that no more, right? And so, like, my ability to live off of a fraction of what I make is absolutely paramount. I don't want to live close enough to the edge to even know that an edge exists, right? And like, I was sharing with folks this morning that the difference, one of the reasons like poor people are poor is because they sign up for the wrong plan, right? What's that plan? Go to work, get paid. Go to work, get paid, right? The better plan is go to work, get paid. Go to work, get paid. That's better. I like that plan better. Okay? And so, like if you try it, you'll probably like it better too. You don't have to, but I would recommend you at least stick your toe in the water. And one of the differences, like you should have a business, even if the business isn't profitable. Why? Because if you make all of your money from a job, then your money is taxed first and you get to live on what's left over. But if you have a business, you get to spend your money first and then you pay taxes on what's left over. So at the end of the year, a lot of times business owners will go spend as much money as they can on something, right? Why? Because that's how we legally avoid paying taxes. So I can buy something my business can use or send gobs and gobs of money to the government. Let me think. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to do A, not B, right? So the practice of sustaining your wealth. It's interesting if you read the story in 2 Kings chapter 4, where it says, there cried a certain woman of the wise of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, thy servant, my husband, is dead, and thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord. And now the creditors come to take unto my sons to be bondmen. Elisha said unto her, what shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in the house? And she said, thine handmaid hath not anything in the house, save a pot of oil. He said, go, borrow thee vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, empty vessels, borrow not a few. And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and thou shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. So she went into her house and shut the door, and her sons brought the vessels to her. And she said unto her son, bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, there's not a vessel more, and the oil stayed. Then she came and told the man of God. Here's what he told her to do. Go sell the oil, pay the debt, live thou and thy children of the rest. Now, here's what's really interesting. When the woman came to Elisha, the first thing he did was ask her some questions. What was the first question he said? What do you want me to do about it? By the way, that would be a really good question sometimes for you to ask your children when they want you to fix problems they created. Definitely for you as a coach, that's a great question for you to ask your coaching clients when they come to you wanting you to fix problems that they haven't even thought about yet. What do you want me to do about it? Why did he say, what do you want me to do about it? He's saying, learn to expect more from yourself than you do from other people. He said, what shall I do for thee? Then he said, tell me. What is he saying when he said, tell me? He's saying, express yourself. You told me about the problem. Now tell me about the solution. He said, tell me, what do you have in your house? Tell me about the solution. Tell me about the solution you came up with. See, a lot of times people will come to you and want you to fix their problem because they don't want to think about it. I ain't here to fix the problems you don't want to think about. That ain't what I'm here for. So what do you have? What's your solution? Before I give you my solution, tell me your solution. That's a good coaching practice right there. And then he said, expect more from yourself. Then he said, express yourself. He said, what do you have in your house? He said, examine yourself. Take inventory of your gifts. What do you have that you can use to turn into money? What skill do you have that you can turn into profit? She suffered from the most prolific business disease in the world. It's called I'm just me-itis, inflammation of the I'm just me gland. Thine handmaid hath not anything save a pot of oil. Ain't that how we talk about our gifts? I can't do nothing. All I know how to do is cook. You can't make no money cooking. Go tell that to Rachel Ray. All I know how to do is run my mouth and ask a whole bunch of questions. You can't make no money asking questions. Oh, really? Go tell that to Oprah Winfrey. She's a billionaire with a B. There are television shows, which blows my mind, about people who go to auctions to buy junk people left in storage bins. And you telling me you don't have anything to win with? Quit tripping. Am I telling the truth? They build motorcycles, turn on camera. Hey, whatever crazy thing that you love to do and you're really good at it, turn on camera. See if it builds an audience. If it builds an audience, eventually you'll be able to sell something to them. Are y'all tracking? So here's what he said. So he asked her all these questions. He said because he wanted her to expect more from herself, express herself, and then examine herself, take inventory of your gifts. But then he started telling her to go do things. Now, here's what's really trippy. Y'all want to know something trippy? And I know I've been going for a while, but that's okay. Y'all gonna be all right. He said, oh, your problem is debt? Go borrow. Go what? Go borrow? My problem, I didn't ask you nothing. Go borrow. See, a lot of people think that the first step on the path to financial freedom is getting out of debt. I submit to you that is not the first step, that's the last step. One of the reasons a lot of you have been broke for years is because you've been working on becoming debt-free. And you've not been working on becoming financially free. Here's what he told her. Go borrow empty vessels abroad of all your neighbors. Who should you borrow from? As many people as you can. How much should you borrow? Empty vessels, borrow not a few. You should go deep in debt. How far in debt should you? As far as you have to create the wealth that will pay off the debt. What? See, the problem is you use debt to buy junk. Define junk. Something that becomes worth less over time. You should be using debt to create wealth. That's why debt exists. If you drive down the streets of Tampa, Florida, you find all these businesses out here, you'll be hard-pressed to find one business that started with money they had sitting under the mattress or in a coffee can in the cabinet. They all went to the bank and borrowed money. Why? Because debt is a concept that God created in his foreknowledge so that poor people wouldn't have to stay poor their whole life. They could go borrow money and create wealth and let the wealth they create pay off the debt. I put last month, or maybe it was this month, between the end of the last month and now, I put like $485,000 on my American Express. And I'm not bragging, I'm giving you an example. So why'd you put $485,000? Because I bought something that was going to save me a boatload of money in taxes. And then guess what I did? Paid it off. Now, I'm not suggesting you go put $485,000 on it, but I'm suggesting that you learn financial literacy so you can read the money. I remember first time I went to Israel. I want you to think about the term financial illiterate or financially literate, right? So financial literacy, like literacy means I can read, right? And I can write. Well, you know what happens when you go to a foreign country? The first thing you have to do before you leave the airport is you have to go to the currency exchange. And you have to exchange your country's currency for another country's currency. Well, if I go to Great Britain, and I know they deal in Great British pounds, they have 50s, and they have 20s, and they have 10s, they have 5s. And the difference is their dollars are coins instead of bills, right? You go to Israel, like you start getting shekels. They look like something out of like a gladiator movie. and you give somebody, how much is it? And you just kind of have to hand them all your money and say, just give me back whatever's the right amount. Because I don't even know what, like they got words written on one of them in Hebrew. I don't know. And then they give you back some money and you just hope it's the right amount. Now, that sounds funny when you go to a foreign country, but do you understand most people in America who were born here and grew up here and live here, they are no better at reading money than I was when I first went to Israel, because they don't understand the purpose of it. It's why they're trying to get out of debt. It's why they use debit cards instead of credit cards. Like I don't even carry debit cards. I have debit cards in my Apple Wallet. You know why? So when I go to the bank, I can prove I'm me. No universe in which I'm going to buy something on a debit card. Why? Debit cards don't give me free money. My American Express, my MasterCard, my Visa, all of them give me free money. Free money. Like, what you mean? I buy something, they give me points. And those points can be translated into stuff I buy or into money. Man, I might be confused, but I ain't crazy. Right? So, the practice of sustaining. Here's what Elisha told this woman. He said, he told her, go borrow, go pour out the oil into the vessels. Here's what's really amazing. She didn't even know why she was doing it. But she was so coachable, she did what the coach told her to do, even though she didn't know why she was doing it. Why? Why is that important? It's important for you to understand good coaching. When you first hire a coach that's going to get you somewhere that you've never been before, their coaching is going to be counterintuitive. What does that mean? Everything they say that's right is going to feel real wrong. You go work out with Andre for the first time, I can tell, I've never worked out with you, bro, but I can tell you think you're going to die. I've never worked out with you, and now if I do go work out with him, he's going to make sure I think I'm going to die, right? So you think you're going to die, right? But when you first start working out, you feel like you're going to die. It just feels like you break, like I had knee surgery and I went to physical therapy. They started, what you doing, man? That hurt. I know it hurts now, but it ain't going to hurt later, right? It feels so wrong. The people who understand the game, the stuff they tell you to do feels wrong until it proves to be right. Anyway, he said, go home. He said, go borrow, go pour. And then she came to him and said, okay, I did everything you told me to do. Now what? Like she did everything he told her to do, had no idea why. How do I know she had no idea why? Because she came and told the man of God. And it says, then he told her the rest of the plan. See, a part of your problem is you think I ain't going to do nothing until I understand everything. But see, you don't understand. You don't get to understand anything until you do something. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Like you have to take some action before you get further instructions. You have to act on what you already know to do before you get further instructions. Some of y'all looking for I want to know everything I got to do before I say yes or no. Well, you ain't ever going to say yes. It's always going to be no for you. That's how life works. So then he said to her, go sell. Why did he tell her to go sell? Before he told her to go pour. Maybe she would have thought, I don't like selling. I think I'll just let them have my kids. Well, it does sound funny, right? That sounds funny, but how many people are living like that? How many people right now, maybe HEW is about to come take their children. Maybe Child Services is about to come take their children because they're broke and they can't take care of them. And maybe they just don't like to sell. And maybe they don't like to sell because they never learned how and they never tried to do it. What if he would have told her to go sell first? Maybe she was, I'm just not good at sales. But watch this. She was already invested. She had already borrowed all these vessels. She had already poured all this oil. She's already vested in the plan. Then he gives her the next step. Go sell. Want to buy some oil? That bottle looks familiar. Yeah, I borrowed it from you yesterday. You want to buy some oil? It was empty. It was empty when I borrowed it from you. You got oil in it now. You want to buy some? See, some of us don't like the idea of selling because we're worried about what we think other people think about us. So I'm going to tell you what other people think about you. You ready? They don't. They don't have time to think about you. They're trying to figure out how to make their own life work. Ain't nobody got time to think about you. I used to say when I was in high school, I ain't studying you. Ain't nobody studying you, boy. Right? So he said, go sell. Then he said, go pay. Go sell the oil, pay the debt. Go sell, go pay. Oh. Okay, so I'm supposed to get out of debt after I build the business that creates the wealth. That makes sense. Makes way more sense than get out of debt first. Why not take that money that you're making and go turn it into more money first? Anyway, and then he said, go sell, go pay. Then he said, go live. What's that? Sustain. Sustain the turnaround. Now the new skill sets and the new tool set and the new assets that you've created, let those sustain you. Go live off the rest. See, some of us, we've gotten so, the culture hypnotic societal mechanism has gotten us so addicted to a paycheck that we are unwilling to work unless some money comes right after. When you're building a business, money don't always come right after. I'm pretty sure, I'm not exactly positive about it, but I'm pretty sure Amazon, when they first started, they went further and further in debt for the first 10 years. And now they are the largest retailer in the world. And Jeff Bezos is one of the richest people in the world. Why? He trusted the process. And some of us have got to get to the place in our lives we trust the process by practicing the principles that God blessed us with to create wealth. The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. Like this video, comment, subscribe. I don't know, why can't I remember comment? Comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified when you release new videos. So we're going to start releasing, just so y'all know, Bishop Wayne Malcolm's third interview is coming out Friday. We're going to start releasing some shorts every Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we're going to start having 3 videos a week. Monday and Friday we'll have like a 10-minute video, and then Bible study on Wednesday where I'll get my rant on. And then some shorts on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So appreciate y'all joining us on the Bible study this morning. I trust that it blessed you. And thank y'all for being here live. Thank you for being on Zoom. Thank you for being on YouTube. Peace out, Cub Scouts.